There you have it. It's been 34 weeks of water, sunshine, and Osmocote Plus. That's what we got at the end. When I started this project, I wanted to do a couple things. I wanted to show how easy it was to grow plants and to show how easy plants are to grow, to disprove some common misconceptions, and mostly to show that you do not have a black thumb. You just have been making one critical mistake if your plants have been dying in pots. So I wanted to show it week by week how these plants grow, and just to show you how easy it is and that you can do it too. So what did we try to disprove? One is that plants love water. They don't need to be dried out, or they don't need any type of strange, weird irrigation systems. You just pour water on them. As long as you have this one key thing, it's you have to have soil without organic matter in it, meaning no forest products, no compost, no wood, none of that stuff. Mine, it just has peat moss. Peat moss is an organic material, but it takes a while to break down. So it's not the same, you don't get that same anaerobic effect if you keep watering it. I haven't done much to these plants. I just dump water, and then every few months I would add some Osmocote Plus. And that's one of the main things I wanted to show, is that these plants are easy to grow. Some specific things we try to disprove. One is citrus like to dry out. I have not let this plant dry out at all. Every day I water. I've watered it up to 3 times a day. Number 2, blueberries like shade. 110 degrees, no shade. Just full sun. Another one is the same with avocados. Avocados like to dry out. Not my experience. I have laid the water down heavy on this one. Something that surprised me, that it's common knowledge that you have to slowly harden off your figs when you bring them from outside to inside to acclimate them to the sun. And as you can see, I brought it from inside. I cut it out of the fig pot bag, and I just potted it up, and it survived. So that was a surprise to me. All right, let's take a look at how each of these plants have grown. We'll open it up and take a look at the roots. So first up is the Mexican lime. Not as big or as green, or didn't do as well as I'm used to with citrus. But let's pull the roots and take a look. Let's see. This is probably not rooted in. That's the roots of the lime here. This is weeds. A lot of weeds in here. But this didn't fill out completely. I'm used to my citrus growing more vigorously. We will put this back into the 5-gallon and pull out the roots, pull out the weeds, and dump more fertilizer. Well, not the best with the citrus. I think what I did was I was too focused on maybe the avocado and the fig. I didn't give enough attention, or I didn't give enough fertilizer for the citrus, for Mexican lime, and I'm used to growing better looking citrus. Here's an example. I mean, they're not hard to grow. But let's move on to the blueberry. Definitely more growth than the citrus. This also started a small bush. Alright, so there's a root ball. Did not fill in the whole 5-gallon, and this is my experience from last year too. You get this is what the roots look like, very fibrous. But you know, these are pretty good for 2 years in a 5-gallon, because there's really no roots at all on the bottom. You know, maybe half of the container has been full, and it's pretty big. I've been keeping these in 5 gallons now for 2 years, and then stepping up to 15. But you can definitely just go straight to a 15. So we'll get that back in. Pretty impressive, the blueberries flowering, and you know that growth is expected, as based on my experience from last year. They grow pretty big, but they do last pretty long in a pot, much longer than mulberries or avocados. But let's take a look at the Jan Boyce. This one I expect to actually be filled in. About 5 feet, maybe 4 feet from the base of the pot. Not yet. So that's definitely filled in. That's the Jan Boyce. Definitely due for in a pot a long time ago. See, basically fully rooted in. So get that into a 15-gallon, and should be good for another year. Now she's ready for next year. Last one on our list is the unknown Pastiliere. 15-gallon, started from a cutting, so tons of fruit, but I don't get enough of the wasp to ripen fruit. So most of them became unpollinated and just not edible. But we're gonna take a look at these roots, and this one requires a rubber mallet. Plants from the Boyce family have very aggressive roots, so it's hard to pop them out. You know, it's kind of similar to stone fruit. So the method I got was, instead of just banging all day, I just use a mallet because it's easier. All right. Okay. It's basically filled up with roots. You know, the root ball is still intact. So what that means is this could have gone into a 25-gallon in 1 year. I don't know if it would have filled it up, but definitely could have survived in there. Let's look at these roots. Still in the shape of a pot. So man, figs are just too much. Just grow way too fast. Well, there you have it, guys. That's the end of the project. It's 9 months of growing these plants, and definitely some things I didn't expect. You know, I expected my citrus to do better. I should have cut the fruit off of my my blueberries. I think that would have been a bigger bush then, but you know, long term they're gonna be fine. We got the avocado in its home for next year, so it's just gonna be a waiting game for that. So you know, if you don't have a big yard, you can just do what I do. These things grow fine in pots, and you know, you can get a harvest in the first year. You get tons of fruit if you're growing the right type of things. You know, if you're a little bit older and you're limited on strength, you can also lower the weight on these potting mixes. This thing was a beast, much more heavier than what I'm used to. What you could do is just add more perlite, you know, cut back the pumice and add more peat moss, and that'll make it much more manageable. I have a 15-gallon mango from Rich, and that thing is super easy to move around. So anyone can grow anything in containers. Just depends on what you're trying to do. You know, if you're trying to grow something ultra tropical in Minnesota, it's not gonna work out. But if you grow something appropriate in your zone, you can definitely do it in a pot, and that means you can do it anywhere. So looking back on this year, it was a fun experiment. You know, I'm definitely growing more seeds and propagating more cuttings and doing more grafting than buying plants now. So stick around, we're just getting started. Make sure you subscribe, because there's gonna be a lot more happening next year.
Rose gone wild, that's what they call me. I'm the man with a plan, growing naturally. From the dirt to the table, it's a beautiful sight. Yeah, Grows gone wild, we're living it right.